Welcome to Service Scholars Institute channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips on exam preparations. You're looking at understanding. Welcome to Service Scholars Institute channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of the tips on exam preparations. You're looking at understanding combined science Form 3 syllabi, which is under ZIMSEC, and which is also available on our website. So you can just visit thescholarsacademy.ac.zw. You create your account, you log in, and then you start learning. So this time I'm sharing with you the topic structure and functions of a cell with objectives. Identify specialized cells, draw specialized cells, state the functions of specialized cells, and also your ability to use the microscope and also to observe the cells under a microscope, the cell structure. And then under this topic, you went through specialized cells such as red blood cells, muscle cells, palisade cells, and even root cells. And here you highlighted some of the functions of specialized cells, where you were given again also access to understanding on how to draw and label these specialized cells and their structures, and also some of the practical skills involved you using a microscope or a bioviewer to observe these specialized cells. So I have also put some of the lessons under these topics, under this topic, on the Scholars Academy website. If you want to study, you can go there and find some of these topics where I'm explaining in detail all these the structure and function. So the first question that I'm going to look at, that you might probably come across in an examination, is describe the structure and function of red blood cells and explain how they are adapted for oxygen transport. When you look at this question, you see that it is folded into three parts. Now, we are looking first at describing, and then we are also looking at explaining. On describing, you're looking at the structure and function of red blood cells, where you look at the key structures, which is the first question, where you are supposed to highlight the biconcave disc shape, the unavailability of nucleus, the unavailability of organelles, flexible cell membrane, the packaging of hemoglobin protein, and even the diameter, which is approximately 7 to 8 micrometers. Then second part, you're looking at the key functions, which is transport of oxygen from lungs to the body tissues, transport of some carbon dioxide from tissues to lungs, and also its ability to maintain the pH through buffering. So the third part that you're going to look at is adaptation, where it says explain how they are adapted for oxygen transport, the red blood cells. So under adaptation, you're looking at the biconcave shape, which increases the surface area to volume ratio for maximum gas exchange, the no nucleus or organelles, which provides more space for hemoglobin molecules. Its flexible membrane allows passage through narrow capillaries. The hemoglobin content, where each cell contains about 280 million hemoglobin molecules. Also its small size, which fits through the smallest blood vessels. So as an examiner, what is it that they look for? Examiners must look for essential keywords or phrases. In this context, they are looking at the biconcave disc or shape, the hemoglobin. Have you mentioned the surface area to volume ratio? Have you mentioned the unavailability of no nucleus or organelles, the flexible or deformable? Also looking at oxygen transport or gas exchange, and even its passageways flexibilities within the capillaries. So the step-by-step process that you have to put your mind through, which is the thought process, is how you are going to approach this question. So how do you approach such a question? You look at step one, where you identify the question type. What is the question type? This is a describe and explain question, which means it needs both factual description and reasoning. That is, you state the structure, you're looking at the function, you're looking at the adaptations, which is 3 components. Now, the step 2 is now you plan how you're going to answer, that is the answering structure, where you look at brief introduction defining the red blood cells, then you look at describing the key structural features of the red blood cells, and then you explain how each feature adapts red blood cells to oxygen transport. Then you conclude with the overall efficiency. Step 3 is now you're looking at to selecting the key points, where you choose 4 to 5 main structural features, and then for each feature you explain its adaptation and purpose. Then you use specific examples or measurements where possible. Step 4 is you must use scientific language. Avoid everyday terms. Use precise biological vocabulary and also include quantitative details where necessary. Then the last step is to check the completeness of your answer. You look at, have I covered the structure? Have I covered the function? Have I explained the adaptations? And is the link between structure and function clear? So you're looking at if your question or the answer meets the expectation of the question, which is describe the structure. So if I covered the structure, describe the function. So if I covered the function, and then explain how they are adapted for oxygen transport, and if I explained adaptation, and is the link between the structure and function clear enough? So let me give you a model answer that you can use when you're answering this question or this type of a question, where it says describe the structure and function of red blood cells and explain how they are adapted for oxygen transport. Now, red blood cells, which are erythrocytes, are specialized cells responsible for transporting oxygen from the lungs to body tissues and removing some carbon dioxide. Red blood cells have a distinctive biconcave disc shape measuring approximately 7 to 8 micrometers in diameter. Mature red blood cells lack a nucleus and organelles such as mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum. They possess a flexible cell membrane and are packed with the protein haemoglobin, with each cell containing approximately 280 million hemoglobin molecules. The biconcave shape maximizes the surface area to volume ratio, allowing for efficient gas exchange. This shape provides 20 to 30% more surface area than a spherical cell of the same volume, enabling rapid oxygen diffusion across the cell membrane. The absence of nucleus and organelles creates maximum internal space for hemoglobin molecules, allowing each cell to carry the greatest possible amount of oxygen. Without these structures, approximately 90% of the cell's volume can be devoted to hemoglobin. The flexible cell membrane allows red blood cells to deform and squeeze through narrow capillaries as small as 3 micrometers in diameter without bursting, ensuring oxygen delivery to all tissues throughout the body. The high concentration of hemoglobin enables efficient oxygen binding in the lungs, where oxygen concentration is high, and oxygen release in tissues where oxygen concentration is low. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 oxygen molecules. These adaptations work together to make the red blood cells highly efficient oxygen transporters with a lifespan of approximately 120 days, during which they circulate continuously throughout the cardiovascular system. So now, after I am done, I then have to look at, have I covered the structure? In this, I have talked about the red blood cells having a distinctive biconcave shape. And have I covered the function? And then I looked at the adaptation of the biconcave of the biconcave shape, which maximizes surface area for the oxygen gaseous exchange. And I also looked at the flexibility of the cell membrane, which is the structure again in the function which allows the red blood cells to deform and squeeze through